Well, Aquarius, it's a new year and we hope a better year. Happy New Year, by the way. I guess a lot of people will be putting inverted commas around happy. I hope you are happy. There are some challenges to you being happy in the coming 12 months. I want to address some of those issues. I'm not going to chronologically do every single aspect for the coming 12 months. I have a full 3,000 word forecast, which I'll direct you to at the end of the reading. But I do want to have a look at, for example, the key transit that really was shaping up in late 2020 for you, which is your ruling planet Saturn, in that very historic conjunction with Jupiter, the Great Conjunction as they call it. And this is the closest conjunction of your planet to Jupiter in several hundred years. So, of course, that has some important significance. It points to a specific thread that I'm seeing in your chart. Firstly, that Jupiter rules your 11th house, predominantly the sign that has to do with your friendships, social activities, your second house of income. But if we look here also, the past karma point, Ketu, and Venus here, which is also a karmic planet, 5th and the 9th houses of the chart are karmic. Actually, all the houses are karmic. I mean, it's sort of a stupid statement. All of the houses relate to what sort of account balance, if I could put it that way, you're bringing into this life. And these nodes, the South Node and the North Node, show us what you've come with in the past life. Here we can see that Ketu, or the South Node, past karmic influences in this 11th house as well. So that's the second thread that's pointing to friendships. And you'll notice Venus here, this has to do with some higher spiritual learning, some understanding. So I think there's going to be some breakthroughs for you, especially around those times of the eclipses, of which there are going to be 4 in the coming 12 months. Now, sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. Not much fun for you, is it? The 26th of May is the first lunar eclipse taking place here. So that sets off, I don't want to say alarm bells because it sounds negative. It can be negative if you're not aware of how these planets operate. The nodes, when they're in the company of a planet, can distort and create some sort of unusual behavior to the houses and the planets that they're associated with. So this is asking you to go back in a way to examine friendships, to examine also your ideals, because this 11th house has to do with what it is you aspire to. That makes sense, because generally what you aspire to, if you look at the past karma, look at it scientifically, your genetics determine to a large extent what it is you desire, the foods you like. The culture that you've been brought up in as well has something to do with that. And I think that's also part of the equation for you, because we see this challenging square aspect between Saturn, which is the co-ruler of Aquarius, and your ruler. So a few of the signs, and yours in particular, are going to have this challenge between breaking free of the past conditioning, which is the South Node, and moving forward into an area that's going to fulfill you and give you the sense that you are living your destiny and on the right path, in fact. That does mean resolving a lot of these past karmic issues associated with your friendships, elder siblings, the networks and tribes, if I could put it that way, that you tend to associate with. The second eclipse on the 10th of June, soon after, is directly opposite. This 5th house has to do with your soul's desire, the path upon which you are set for this life. That is why in the first part of the year, Aquarius, I think you need to resolve this issue. And often the nodes are what we call separative influences. They actually take you away from those circumstances and people that are hindering your development in life. Now, we're creatures of habit. it becomes easy to forgive those facets of human nature, especially if they're long-time friends or family members. They didn't mean it. Well, I think that's changing. And these first two eclipses start to point to that. Yeah, the eclipse in the 5th house will be trining somewhat by sign this ruling planet. And so it has an impact on your self-awareness, your self-esteem, your identity, and how you present yourself to people. So what happens as a result of these eclipses, I think, is like a catalyst for you to change who you are, change the dynamic of the way you deal with people. And that may even mean getting rid of friends. We see here too, as the year starts, Mercury, Sun, Pluto in the 12th house. This is the hidden part of your horoscope. This is also a karmic sector relating to your past. So a lot of the energy here is about going back and eliminating those things in your past experience that have held you back. And often that is the people you hang out with. The company that you keep will either make or break your development, your self-development. You'll notice too that Venus will move into this 12th house very soon after the new year begins. Mars will move into the family sector very soon after the new year begins. So that slightly shifts the energies. But the third eclipse takes place in Taurus. And so maybe I've just jumped the gun a bit here on myself. I was about to get there anyhow. This 4th house, where the lunar eclipse of 19th of November takes place, is all about family and domestic and your peace or satisfaction, self-satisfaction. So going back a little bit to these earlier eclipses, the involvement of one of your ruling planets here, the trine aspect from that second solar eclipse to your sun sign, and then this eclipse, which is the self-satisfaction. You cannot be self-satisfied if you're serving everyone else's needs and really ignoring your own. So I think a theme for you this year, Aquarius, is to be a little more selfish. 12th house is the house of generosity. You see all of these planets here. The Pluto influence here is transformative. It's transformative in a different way to some of the other planets. It's transformative in that it actually destroys everything first before it allows you to intuitively understand the teaching that it's trying to give you. It's like a bushfire. I don't know whether you know, but there are some seeds and plants in, say, the Australian bush that don't sprout unless they are burnt. I think this is a perfect example of that for you, how your self-awareness, your self-image, your identity is changing. At all of these celestial events, in particular we can see from these eclipses, changing your self-perception and the relationship you have with yourself. And that's being precipitated by some of these unhealthy relationships, toxic relationships, people that are using you, people that maybe not even using you, people that may not even be on the same page, because we tend, as I said, we tend to be creatures of habit. You just slip into that usual, oh yeah, I'll give John a ring, and yeah, how are you, John? Yeah, still doing the same thing? Yeah, me too. You know, there's no growth in that. That is why this 5th house is really a creative house, and the second eclipse in particular, and the last eclipse, which I haven't mentioned, which takes place on the 4th of December, again is here. And it shows us that 2021 is going to emphasize again and again to you the importance of balancing those relationships in your life with your own needs. You need to serve yourself before you can serve others. You notice here that the Sun, which is the principal marriage planet for you, and Mercury, which is a creative planet, but also the planet ruling love affairs, both commence the year here in this 12th house. So, you know, I'm not saying you shouldn't be charitable and serve people, but you've got to balance that. There's no point diving in and trying to save someone who's drowning if you don't know how to swim yourself. So I'm not saying you discard these people. I'm saying you do have to use your filters. You've got to segregate the psychic vampires from those that are in what we call a mutual relationship with you. Doing that, I think, is going to really set you up for a much, much better year. It's going to free you up from that toxicity and give you a lot more time. If you're looking at time management, you want to have time, but you want to manage that in a way that gives you some fulfillment and satisfaction in the coming 12 months. I've written up 3,000 words for you at astrology.com.au. I'd like you to go over there. You can fill in all the holes I've left here because I've just punctuated the year with what I think are the key factors. There are a lot more there, and I'm raising them in your reading. That's at astrology.com.au. I'm sending out the invitation too. This is usually the best time of all. If you want a personal reading, drop me a line. If you've got any issue there, not quite sure how to handle it, I can at least steer you in the right direction. You may or may not need some time with me, but this is a good time so we can get it in context with precisely the time and place you were born and adjust the horoscope for you as an individual. Finally, I hope this is a safe and happy and prosperous new year, and that you'll join me again in February when I start up the monthlies again. Take care. Bye-bye for now.